Hey guys, how are you? This is awkward. My name is Jen, and I have a very heavy video that I will be presenting you guys with today. I started recording this video a few days ago. It's been something that's been on my mind for a couple of months now, and I finally just kind of had the strength to just record it and to just do it. I felt like I wanted to wake up one day and just be ready to make this video, when really I think that this is the type of thing that I don't know if I'll ever fully be ready to do. I'm not really sure how this is gonna go. Maybe some of you guys know me from high school, maybe some of you guys know me from college, maybe you don't know me at all. No matter who you are, thank you for being here and giving me an opportunity to share my story. I'm finally in a good enough headspace to be able to share this with you guys properly. This video is going to be everything to me because I'm finally closing the door to the worst times of my life, finally putting this chapter in the past. Everybody will know this is out there. Hi. I'm really anxious right now. Oh my god, okay. Breathe, Jen. I'm gonna drink some water. I've been going through a really, really dark time for the last, however many months, and I'm finally, I think, ready to open up about it because I want to help other people. What I'm about to share is going to really surprise some people. It's absolutely going to make some people uncomfortable. So I'm sorry in advance. Trigger warning. I'll be talking about domestic violence and the physically and emotionally, financially abusive relationship that I have been in for the last year and a half. Here I go. So, I met this guy when I was 23, and I was working in the Upper West Side in New York City. I was working at this restaurant at the time. I had just finished grad school. I was in a really good place. I was excited to start my career, and I was ready to start this next chapter of my life. When this person came into my life, let's call him Trevor. We hit it off. I liked this person. We started hanging out all the time. It was a beautiful relationship that we had for a very long time, just filled with lots of laughter and love and friendship. A couple of months into our relationship, Trevor told me that his ex-girlfriend called the police on him for physical abuse. He told me that she was crazy. She was a complete nut. She was addicted to drugs. She had a fucked up family history. She was a pathological liar. He told me all these terrible things about this girl that led me to believe that she was crazy and he was telling the truth. And I was just so charmed by this person. I was under their spell. I loved them and I believed them because I believed the best in people, and I cared for this person and I trusted him. He tells me that this happens, and I didn't really think too much about it, which is silly. Trevor had convinced everybody that he was telling the truth, and so all of his friends, all of his family members, everybody in Trevor's life believed that Trevor's ex-girlfriend, let's call her Marissa, everybody believed that Marissa was fucking crazy, including myself. And honestly, if Marissa would have reached out to me at that time in my life saying, hey Jen, the person that you're with is bad news, I would not have believed her. So what happens is Marissa and Trevor, they're dating for however long, I think like 8 or 9 months they're together. Marissa calls the police on Trevor. Trevor spends the night at the Brooklyn precinct, and then he is released. The story that I was told from Trevor is that he was completely falsely accused. He was released because he was innocent, and that's that. However, Trevor did have to take domestic violence classes for, the next 4 months after that. Something that I should have looked into and fucking considered. Like, why did he take these classes if he was innocent? So Trevor and I date for these months, and it's all right, but looking back, there were absolutely warning signs that I could have picked up on. This is our second time ever hanging out, okay? Second time. And we're at the bar with a bunch of our friends, and he goes to get us some drinks. And while he's getting us some drinks, one of our friends sits down next to me. His name was Terrence. We were just friends. It was nothing sexual, no relationship. Me and Terrence were strictly friends. Trevor comes back with our beers, and he looks at Terrence, and he says, dude, that's my girl. He said, what the fuck, you're sitting next to my girl? And my heart did a cartwheel because I was like, oh my God, like, I'm his girl. I looked to my friends, I'm like, Aaron, did you hear that? Looking back, that's fucking controlling as shit, and that's ridiculous. Like, I'm not your girl. I just met you 48 hours ago. That is just a red flag that I've just picked up on since, retelling this story in my head and to my friends and family over and over again, and wanted to share because I never realized that at the time. I was excited about that. I thought it was cute that he said I was his girl, but actually that's not cute. So be aware. Be aware. So the pandemic hits. Even though Trevor and I have only been together for 5 months, we ended up essentially moving in together into his parents' house. We are living there for, March, April, May, June. During these months of Trevor and I living together in the quarantine, it was pretty isolating, obviously. In these months, we're with his parents, every single day. I'm getting to know them, living under their roof. We are just, becoming more and more attached to each other every single day because, we're waking up together, we're going to bed together, and we're spending every single waking minute of the day together in between. This relationship was becoming toxic over time because we were growing to be extremely attached to each other and extremely codependent upon one another. I thought of an example. So yesterday I was at the doctor. I didn't know that I was going to be so triggered because this is all a learning process for me. I could not breathe. I just was so anxious and panicky, and I ended up just bawling my eyes out in front of the doctor and the nurses. 1 year ago, Trevor drove me to the appointment. I thought it was going to be a 30-minute appointment because annual checkup. And then I get in there and they're busy. It was taking some time. I had been in the office for 30 minutes and the doctor still hadn't come in to see me. And Trevor is texting me how much longer? Are you almost done? I want to leave. What the fuck? And I'm in the appointment just anxious as fuck. Kind of I'm trying to be nice to these doctors and I'm trying to be myself because I'm a very friendly, easygoing person. I like to talk to my doctors. I like to have conversation. I'm not in a rush, but I'm all panicky. And so then the doctors are oh, do you want to get this testing done? And I was and I wanted to because why not? I wanted to get it done. I'm at the friggin' doctor. But of course I'm well, how long is it gonna take? Because Trevor's in the car and I'm nervous and I want to just appease him. And the doctor's 30 seconds, Jen, do it, whatever. And I'm okay, all right. I just have my boyfriend waiting for me in the parking lot. I just feel bad. And they're girl, your boyfriend can wait as long as he needs to. And it's so true. It's so true. Why was I sitting there so anxious just trying to rush my doctor just to get back to my fucking asshole boyfriend. Alright, so I feel like I'm getting off topic. I'm trying to continue the story. The reason I talked about that appointment last June is just to show that I was obviously already, going through something. I was fearful to have Trevor keep waiting for me in the car. I was fearful for how he would react. I didn't want to deal with the temper tantrum because I knew that that's what it would be. So the point that I'm trying to make here is just that Trevor was just kind of grooming me and pushing me as far as he could and seeing how far he could take it. And I just never felt comfortable to do anything when Trevor and I would fight in that house because I'd be too nervous to go do anything. Like, I'd be too nervous to go into the main house and go eat food. I'd be too nervous to ask to use one of their cars to leave or whatever. I would constantly just walk forever. I would walk for miles and miles until he would finally call me. And like, it was just shitty times. I felt very helpless, and I didn't want to share this with anybody because I didn't want to ruin this image that everybody had in their heads of Trevor and I. I wanted my parents to believe that I was being taken care of, that I was in a really good relationship, I was in a safe home with people who care about me, and I'm being fed, I have a nice bed to sleep in, I have a car I can drive. Like, I just wanted to keep up this act, I guess, but it was all an act. It was all an illusion. Okay, wow. If you are still with me currently, thank you for one. Congratulations for two. You've made it this far. And 3, get your fucking popcorn because it's about to get a lot more interesting. Okay, we're finally approaching the part of the story that, gets interesting. Sorry if you guys are bored. I'm gonna have to edit the fuck out of this because I've actually taken an hour worth of videos. So Trevor and I decide, let's move in together. Makes sense, right? Totally. So Trevor and I decide, let's fucking do it. Let's go all the way, go big or go home. We've already been living together in this pandemic. It would kind of be weird if we stopped living together, so let's just fucking do it. So, that was fucking stupid, huh? So we get this apartment together. Our lease began November 15th of 2020. And his birthday is November 10th. 6 days before we move in together, on November 9th, Trevor and I wake up at my apartment. It's just him and I there. And it's the day before his 24th birthday. And Trevor and I get into an argument. And this argument was different than all of the other ones because it became physical. He punched my TV. And then he just started picking out all the fiberglass, just picking it and throwing it on the floor because he wanted me to step on it. Somehow he pushes me and I trip over my dog's water bowl and I fall into the oven. And I hit my back on the corner of the oven and my back just starts gushing blood. I have scars on my back from this day. Trevor sees this. He seemed like he was sorry for a second, maybe. I can see that he gets a little bit freaked out. And he's like, I'm sorry, Jen, I'm sorry. And then I'm like, yeah, you should be fucking sorry. Look at my fucking back, you motherfucker. Of course I start going off because I'm fucking pissed. I'm bleeding profusely. And he didn't like that. So goes into the room that I had everything packed and organized, just starts smashing it all, pushing everything over, whatever, makes a whole mess in there. This is the day before his birthday. This is 6 days before we are moving into our new apartment together. That was a really fucking hard day for me. I was very confused. I was genuinely what is going on? What just happened to me? What is this? And no. We go to bed that night, we wake up the next day, and it's now November 10th, his birthday. What can I do? It's his birthday, but my whole body feels like I literally got hit by a truck. My back is killing me. My arms are bruised up. I was just in such a fucked up headspace, and so I go to the skate park with him. I hang out with him and his friends. I remember I wore this like tie-dye sleeveless dress, and I remember he said to me, "Oh, so I guess you don't want to try to cover the bruises. I guess you don't want to wear something that maybe would hide that." He said that to me, and I was like, no. Fuck your birthday. Fuck the day you were born. I don't know, however many days go by. And so I actually go out to lunch with my friends, Paxton, Allie, and Jules. Finally, when we get a little drunk, Paxton turns to me and she's like, "So Jen, can I ask you about this bruise on your face?" I didn't know what to say. I kind of panicked. My face was bruised because of Trevor, because he pushed me so hard and threw me on the ground into the oven, and I hit my face that hard that my face was bruised. They knew I was lying. They just wanted me to come to them on my own. A couple more days go by. Trevor and I are at his parents' house in the Upper East Side, and I wake up at 5 in the morning and I am so sick. This went on from 5 in the morning until finally at 11 I go into Trevor's room and I see that he's awake, and I'm like, "Oh my God, you're awake." And he's like, "What's up?" And I'm just like, "Oh my God, you have no idea. I've been so sick. I've literally been sick for hours. Like, thank God you're awake." And he's like, "Oh, no way. Oh, I had no idea, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Yeah." And so I run back into the bathroom. Trevor doesn't check on me like one time. And so once I finally am able to collect myself, I go back into his room. I'm like, "Dude, really?" And he's like, "What?" And I'm just like, "I've been so sick for hours. I let you sleep this entire time. I didn't bother you this entire time. And now, like, you're awake. Do you think you could, like, bring me a water or, like, hold my hair or, like, call my mom and make a fucking doctor's appointment or something?" He didn't like that. I ended up getting actually beaten the absolute shit out of this day. Like, this might have been the worst time that he ever attacked me. After I was so sick, after I had been throwing up and pooping my pants for like 7 hours, I'm so skinny, I'm so weak, I'm running off of no sleep, no food, no water. He had his house keys in his hands. His house keys cut up my entire boobs. He accidentally latched onto my nipple ring at one point. I thought my nipple ring was literally going to get ripped out. Cut up my leg. I had blood all over my body. He was slamming me into walls. He was pinning me up against walls. He's throwing my 120-pound body all around. I will never forget, I was sitting on his parents' couch. Nobody was in this apartment but us. I'm butt naked. He always would do this shit to me when I was so vulnerable, when I was in my most vulnerable position. If I was naked, if I was sick, if I was hungover. And I'm just sitting there covered in blood and bruises and sweat and just rashes, anxiety rashes. And I'm just sitting there just trying to catch my fucking breath. It was really scary. And so finally, I don't know how, but he calms down and he then calls my mom. She sets me up with an appointment the next day. So Trevor takes me to the doctor and I am fucking horrified because I had bruises all over my body. I had a bruise that took up this entire area. It was literally this big, just green and purple and blue, and like fingerprint bruises just all down both arms. Like, it was just obvious. Things were really hard at this time. I was really attached and I was codependent and I was weak and helpless. I was just what he needed. I was confused. I was so in love with him. We go to the doctor and I'm so scared. I told him like Trevor, what am I gonna do if they notice this bruise on my chest? Like, I was just like, what am I gonna do, like, if they notice this? And he's like, Let's just say you fell off a skateboard. I was like, okay. And so I go into the appointment, and the doctor never said anything about the bruises. She just didn't say anything. And I remember I did the questionnaire. Obviously, the doctors always ask you, how have you been sleeping? Are you depressed? Do you feel anxiety? Do you feel suicidal? This and that, whatever. And for the first time in my life, I answered these questions. Yes, I'm depressed. Yes, I'm anxious. Yes, I'm suicidal. And I was so nervous. I almost thought I was outing myself. Maybe if she started asking me questions, oh, why are you feeling this way? Maybe I would then say, hey, this happened. But instead, the doctor just said, you know, COVID, the quarantine, a lot of people are feeling isolated. A lot of people are feeling depressed. You know, you're not the only one. And I was just like, bet. Okay. Me, just to make this timeline for you guys. The first time he ever hurt me was November 9th. This doctor's appointment was on November 19th, okay? So that means he hurt me on November 18th. And there could have been some instances in between those 2 days that I just don't remember, because honestly, once this started, it never stopped, and it only got worse. After this appointment, we go to get food, and I remember I just started bawling my eyes out in the car to Trevor. And he's like, what's wrong? And I was just like, honestly, I'm just really confused. I'm having a really hard time wrapping my head around what's going on here. I don't understand it. I don't like it. This isn't who we are as a couple. This isn't who I want to be. I don't know what's happening, and I know that you have been in a similar situation before with Marissa, and I know that you went through those domestic violence classes. So can you please just help me understand what's going on? Can you just explain this to me a little more so I can just... In the very beginning of the physical abuse, I did fight back. I would use my hands sometimes. I would try to slap him. I would try to kick him. But it was all defense. Like, it was all self-defense. And then I eventually just got to a point where I just hated that. I hated that I was contributing to this issue, and I did not want to be a part of it. So eventually, probably after like the first 2 arguments that I explained to you guys, on November 9th and November 18th. After that, I decided, like, I literally made an oath with myself that I would never touch Trevor again. I would never put my hands on him again, because I didn't want to contribute to this. And honestly, it always felt really good at the end of an argument, like, to be able to sit there and say, like, I literally didn't touch you. I actually stayed across the room. I actually had my arms crossed the entire time, and you did all of this to me unprompted. I would use my dad as like a weapon sometimes against Trevor. Give you guys a little bit of background. Trevor really liked my dad a lot. It seemed like he really respected my dad, and they had like a little bit of a bond and a connection. So if we were arguing and it was like getting out of control and I was kind of like afraid, I would call my dad and I would have him on speakerphone. And I'd be like, hey dad, like Trevor and I are fighting right now, like, and I just don't know what to do. And my dad would be like, well, what's going on, Jen? Is everything all right? What's going on? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I just, like, I wouldn't know what to say, because I wouldn't want to reveal too much, because I wouldn't want my dad to actually know. But at the same time, I do think it was like a little bit of a cry for help. But either way, my purpose of this was just to scare Trevor, to get him to knock it off, to stop doing what he was doing. Then I remember one time specifically, my dad said, well, what did he do? Did he cheat on you? And I said, no. I said, it's worse. And then he said, well, what, did he hit you? Like, I honestly hesitated, and then I just said, no, he didn't hit me. He didn't put his hands on me. And my dad's like, are you sure? Are you sure? Like, I didn't like the sound of that answer. And I'm like, yeah, no, he didn't touch me. And Trevor hears this, you know? He hears me say this, and he hears my dad say that, and he wasn't afraid. He was never afraid of anybody. He wasn't afraid of me. He wasn't afraid of my dad. He wasn't afraid of the neighbors. He's not afraid of his own parents. He's not afraid of anybody. So finally, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm calling your fucking parents. So I call his mom, and I tell her everything. And it was really, really hard for me to do that because I hadn't told anybody what was going on yet. Like, truly, Trevor's mom was the first person that I shared this with. I went into it thinking that, all right, you know, woman to woman, this is going to be a productive conversation. She's going to help Trevor help himself and get the help that he needs, and they're going to take care of this, and it's going to be okay. I tell her that every day I wake up and it feels like I've been hit by a car. My entire body is sore. I have cuts, bruises, scars all over my body. It's hard to get out of bed in the morning. It's hard to just do anything. And I cried to her, and her first reaction, the first words that came out of her mouth were, well, you know, I know that Trevor always gets really stressed whenever the dog's around, so maybe you and the dog could go to your father's house and stay there while he's in Florida while Trevor, like, cools off or whatever. And I'm just like, look, I think you're missing the point. Trevor was abusing me before the dog got here, and he will continue to abuse me after the dog leaves. It has nothing to do with my dog. I need your help. She told me that he's stronger than he thinks. He doesn't realize that he's hurting me. It's an accident. And she basically gaslighted me. I was like fucking squeezing water from a goddamn rock. I was like, you know, I can't talk to my friends. I can't talk to my family. And then she says to me, yeah, you know what? Actually, that you bring up a good point, Jen. You better be very careful who you talk to about this, because I know how girlfriends can be, and I know that in a month from now you're still going to be wanting to date Trevor, and you're going to have your girlfriends chirping in your ear, oh, remember when this happened a month ago? She's like, so just be careful about who you tell. I'm like, noted, dude. I knew that Trevor's parents were never going to help me after that phone call. It was very obvious where they stood and where their head was at. Even though I knew that my relationship with his parents was over, I just said, all right, you know what, Jen, you got to be around these people. So you eat dinner with them, you smile, you laugh, surface level conversations, you can do it. You're doing it for Trevor, you're doing it for him, it's okay. So that's how I went on. That's just how I continued to live around these people every time I was around. So that phone call was the beginning of January. Time goes on. This shit continues. Trevor essentially says to me, told you so. Told you my parents wouldn't give an actual fuck. And I was just like, shit, okay, so this is what's going on here. I'm up against 3. It's not me against Trevor. It's me against Trevor and his creepy parents who are in some fucking kumbaya with him. The first time that we go to Trevor's parents' house to go see them, after this phone call, we get into an argument in their house, under their roof, while they're home. And at this point in time, I would always say to him, keep your hands off me, keep your hands off me. And I literally saw it in his eyes this time that this motherfucker, he was trying to keep his hands off me so hard that he actually headbutted me 3 times. He actually fucking headbutted me head to head, full force. And I was in disbelief. I was like, did you just fucking headbutt me? He literally pulls me by my hair, throws me to the ground of his bathroom, and I hear his dad and the mom outside the door, and the dad's like, should I go in? Should I go in? And the mom's like, go in. He's like, oh, I'm going in. I'm going in. They come in. I'm on the floor, hysterically crying. It's obvious that I've been touched, and still, they just, in denial, don't want to accept it. They come in, and they start giving us advice as if we're just a normal couple going through normal couple shit. They're not treating us like we're in an abuse, like I'm getting abused and I'm a victim. They're treating us like we are just a couple fighting over fucking cereal. I'm kind of just sitting there silently because what am I really gonna say? And then Trevor is literally screaming at me at the top of his lungs in front of his parents, and he actually said, he's like, can you shut the fuck up, please? And then his dad says, okay, I like the word please. I like the use of the word please. And I'm sitting there like, am I being fucking punked right now? What the fuck is going on? So then Finally, it gets to the point where we're gonna leave. So I get in the car, and Trevor says to me, like, "You're not coming with me." And I said, "Trevor, I'm not sitting here with your fucking whack-ass parents who just completely gaslighted me and made me feel like a crazy person for the last 3 hours while we've been fighting in front of them. Like, this is fucking awkward. I'm not sitting in this empty mansion with them." So he literally tells me that he wants to kill me. He says, "I wish I could kill you." And so I say, because whatever, I think it's fine, I think it's reasonable, I lied and I said, "Well, you know what, Trevor, I just got a video of you saying that, so good luck." He runs into his house and tattletales on me to his fucking parents, and his parents come outside and his mom's like, "You were recording him, blah, 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 blah." And I'm just like, honestly, you guys, like, I started crying. I was like, I'm really uncomfortable right now. You guys are all making me very uncomfortable. I just feel like nobody has my back. I feel like nobody's on my side. And I know that this isn't sides, but just like, this is really uncomfortable for me right now. So I say to them, I'm like, headbutted me 3 times under your roof today, this morning. I'm telling you guys this. And Dad says, "Well, it was probably an accident. Was it an accident?" And I said, "Yeah." And then he's like, "Okay." And I literally said, "You guys are making me feel like I'm fucking crazy right now. Like, it wasn't an accident. How do you headbutt somebody 3 times in a row as an accident? Like, what the fuck?" Literally, after witnessing this shit for hours, his parents just send us off to the city. They're just like, "All right, bye guys, have fun, be safe." I'm just like, wow. We get to the city, we go to bed there that night, and the next morning we drive to the Catskill Mountains where we were going to go skiing for 3 days. So we get to the Catskills and we go to sleep, and in the middle of the night I get really, really sick. And I'm like, "Do you think that we could maybe switch our lift tickets today till tomorrow?" He got so mad at me, like so fucking mad at me, and this argument ends with me having a black eye and the motel owner coming to the door because she wanted to call the police because she heard me calling out for help multiple times. Me crawling out the motel window because he would not let me leave. He ends up leaving me at the motel for like an hour, and the checkout was at 11. It's like 12:30. This nice lady was like, "You can stay, but not all day." And so I'm still there just by myself. He has a car, I don't have a car. Like, I don't even know what the hell to do at this point. Like, I'm defeated. Like, this person has been beating the shit out of me for months. I've just been letting it go the fuck on. Now I'm in the Catskills, miles away from any family members or friends. I'm fucking helpless. Trevor comes back, he picks me up, and he's like, "We can't fucking stay at this motel anymore, blah, 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 blah." On this day, I mean, I truly thought that I was going to die. We left the motel. He picked me up from the motel. He was really, really mad at me because of the lady coming to the door. And I get in the car with him, and he's literally just screaming at me, driving on a 2-lane street at like 75, 80 miles per hour on a 2-lane street in the Catskills, which, like, if you've been there, like, it's all long straightaways, so you can go that fast. But when you're screaming at somebody at the top of your lungs and your hand is pushing my face up against the glass while you're driving with one hand and one hand like this, and squeezing my cheeks and grabbing my hair and shaking my head around like this while you're driving, he said to me this day, because of course it's my fault, right? Because I'm riling him up, right? So he's like, "Do you want to fucking die today? Do you want us both to die today? Because we will both fucking die in this car right now, and nobody's gonna know what will happen." Like, he would say these things to me, and I was really scared. Like, I wanted to die, actually. Honestly, I remember wanting to die. Like, that's how it felt. How could I go on? What was life at that time for me? So anyway, somehow it gets resolved and we end up going to this new motel. We ski the next day and then we drive to the Poconos where we were meeting two of my girlfriends from college and all of their friends. And I'm so ashamed because I have a black eye. And now I'm gonna go see my friends. And I didn't know what I was gonna say. I just had to deal with it. I just watched what I have so far of this video with my roommate for the first time. I was gonna cut some stuff out. I have way more footage. This story goes on for like 2 more months, so it's just really heavy right now. It's just a lot for me, so it's probably a lot for you guys to watch too. I would just rather take a break and give everybody a second. I know that this isn't easy for anybody to listen to. It's not easy for me to tell. So I just appreciate everybody taking the time out of their day to watch this video. And I also want to thank just everybody who has helped to get me here. Because there have been so many supportive people. So many people have just helped to lift me up, whether it's just been in a small way or in a big way. But anyone who's just been here for me, I just appreciate everyone. And even though this is like a really sad story and it's tough and there are so many horrible things that you can take away from it, maybe, you know, it makes you think that the world is a little more evil than you thought, or people can be worse than you expected and hurt you in ways that you never thought that they could hurt you. But this entire situation has really showed me how amazing people can be and how blessed I am to have the parents that I have and the family that I have and the friends that I have. I have such amazing friends, and if I didn't, I wouldn't be making this video. And people have been so amazing. Like, it truly makes me emotional. So I'm just gonna end this video now. If you want to hear what else happened, I'm going to come out with part 2 and maybe even a part 3. So if you're interested, then you can watch those follow-up videos. If this is too emotional for you, if you get the point, if you get the picture and you don't want to continue, I completely understand. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you. So like, I don't do shit. I don't exercise. I don't work out. I don't play a sport. There's no reason why I would ever be injured. And whatever. It's just a lot. You guys get it, I'm sure. Right, guys? Okay. I need help. I have a therapist. I do have a therapist. Don't worry.